Let's be real. The Iceman rollout was a masterclass in psychological marketing. For weeks, Drake was breadcrumbing us through these cinematic live streams. He was making it feel like a slow-burning visual album. Most people were just expecting one project, the red button that would end the entire beef once and for all. Some were speculating maybe two, but nobody, and I mean nobody, predicted the plot twist at the end. During the final stream, the director pulled back the curtain and showed us 3 hard drives, red, blue, and green. He hit us with the surprise trilogy, Habibti, Iceman, and Maid of Honor. While the world was reeling from the shock of 3 surprise albums, I was looking at the technical language he was using to build them. RGB wasn't just the 3 colors of his hard drives. It's the digital light of your phone screen. It's the simulation. I knew he was channeling Michael Jackson, using the same protest energy and colors MJ used when he went to war with Sony. But as I was staring at the new artwork, my eye caught something that just didn't belong. I saw a couple tiny specks of yellow. I start my audit in frame 1. I'm hunting for anything associated with red, blue, and green, the trilogy, but I'm primarily doubling back for the yellow. As I'm scanning the picture, I see yellow hose. I see little accents in the background. But that's when it hits me. I look up at the top of the frame and I see a piece of paper. Seems to be out of place. I zoom in on the power box and I see 230V. I see WAN. I see panel C. And I see 18 plus 20. I immediately write it down. Why 230 volts? We're in Toronto, North America. The average voltage is 120. I find my first clue. I follow the logic down from that panel and paper, and I add those 2 numbers together, 38. I write it down. I'm looking at my notes. Got yellow hoses, 230 volts, international power source, and a 38 code. I don't know what it means yet, but I know the director is drawing a level of power that doesn't belong in this building. This wasn't a simple entrance. It was a technical sign-in. Then my audit takes us to scene 4, and I see it immediately. A big pop of yellow right on top of the ice. I knew there was a high-level clue here, so I stopped everything. I started analyzing. What is the director trying to show me here? I started thinking like him. At first, you think it's just a metaphor for people throwing trash on ice. Then I realized it's deeper than that. It's corporate. This isn't about the beef. It's about valuation. I decided to count them. 1, 2, 10, 15. 15 blocks of ice. 15 summers of dominance. That's when it hit me. They threw the trash on his 15-year legacy because they were trying to lower the price tag on the man. They were trying to devalue the inventory so that they could own the extraction. I wrote it down in my notes, devaluation, 15 block audit. I realized right then and there, the director's showing us his career as a physical asset that the labels are trying to sabotage before he walks out the door. My audit takes us to scene 5. I'm scanning for yellow again, and that's when I see the yellow pallet jack. It's sitting right there with an ice machine on it. I write it down immediately. Yellow pallet jack, ice machine in transit. I realize that the director is showing us the how. He's not just talking about moving his legacy, he's showing us the physical tools he's using to transport it. He's got the ice machine, the hits, the catalog, the 15 summers, loaded up and ready to roll. Then I look at the door. There's a red sign up there, but it's got a little hint of yellow on it. It's another warning. Then this is what really stopped me. I see the blue bin, and it's intentionally turned towards the camera. It's not an accident. It's a reveal. I look at the number on the side, 55905. As a former Toronto local, the 905 jumps out immediately. That's the area code for the suburbs. I write it down, thinking it's just a local shout out. But that 55 at the front, I just can't shake it. It feels like a technical prefix that I don't have the key for yet. So I start digging. I took that 55 and the hints he's been dropping about Michael Jackson, the glove, the protest colors, and I went down a rabbit hole. And that's when it all started to click.
Thank you all for coming this morning. As you know, we have all the Jacksons here, Randy, Tito, Marlon, and Michael.
In 1984, Michael Jackson was being squeezed. After the success of Thriller, he was the biggest star on earth, but he was trapped. His own family, promoters like Don King were essentially blood-sucking his success to fuel the victory tour. Michael didn't even want to do the tour. It was forced on him by a system that saw him as a cash cow rather than an artist. He was fighting for his independence from his own circle, who were overpricing tickets and exploiting his legacy for a payday. He was so disgusted by the greed that he held a solo press conference 24 hours before the tour started just to announce he was donating his entire share to charity. He was trying to cut the strings of the people who thought they owned him. As I'm analyzing the tour statistics, I see 55 dates. Then I go back to my notepad and I count the songs Drake just gave us on the trilogy, 43. I'm sitting there trying to do the math. I see a gap of exactly 12. This is where my artist brain starts racing. Is that it? Is the Yellow project I'm hunting for a 12-song declaration of independence? It's all speculation at this point, but the parallel felt too loud to ignore. Now I'm moving through scene 6. It looks like a standard industrial shot. You see the work phone, Iceman sign on the door, but I'm scanning for those yellow specks. And then I hit the first aid kit straight ahead. I zoom in on the sticker. There it is. 1, 2, 3, and a yellow 4. I write it down in my notes. Red is 1, blue is 2, green is 3. That's the trilogy everyone's talking about. But there it is, number 4, yellow. The 1, 2, 3, that's the noise. But the 4, it's the recovery. It's the emergency kit for his career. I look right next to it, and there's an open key box with a yellow key inside. I have the 55 count math, the 12-song gap, and now I have the key to the 4th project. Now we're at scene 7 of the audit. I'm scanning the room. I see the yellow hose, blue boot cleaner, hazards on the jacket. But then I see something that doesn't look right on the ground. It's a book, but not a normal book. It's pure white. No cover page, no title. Just a weathered blank block sitting in the dirt. Now, why is it there? I'm looking at this blank book, and then I look up at the door. I realize this isn't an entrance. It's a vault. And that's when it clicks. If you're gonna blow the locks or pop the hinges off a vault door that heavy, you have to prop it up with something. You need a wedge, something to hold it while you work the hardware. Now I'm keeping in mind his current battles with his label for his masters, and that's where it hits me. Could this vault be where they're stored? I'm theorizing that the director is using the truth, the unspoken, unwritten revelation in that blank book, as a physical tool. He's using the book as a wedge to unhinge the machine from the inside so he can finally reach in and take back what they've been holding. He's telling us that the truth is the only thing heavy enough to hold that door open while he goes for the extraction. Now we're inside the vault. Look at Drake. He's in full blue-collar gear. He's scanning the clipboard. That's where I had to ask myself, is he taking notes or is he reading a work order? I stopped the tape as soon as the clipboard hit the floor. That's the switch. The moment it hits the ground, the thinking phase is over. The clipboard isn't a notepad, it's an operational directive. This is where he moves from the director who planned the heist to the worker who has to execute it. He grabs the yellow tape and starts measuring the ice against the order. He's verifying the physical weight of his legacy to make sure the extraction matches the manifest perfectly. The strategy is done. Now it's time for the labor. Now this next scene we're about to audit looks like a staff room, but the air is thick with a whole different frequency. So I start scanning. In the top right, we have Ayrton Senna. Senna was the ultimate rebel inside the machine. He was famous for his uncompromising independence, which eventually led to him using race-to-race contracts because he refused to let the corporate team own his freedom.
How would you like to be remembered?
As a winner.
Now my eyes move over by the phone, and there's a painting. Looks like it was done by Fred Machetans. Fred was a legendary artist who rejected the corporate New York art scene so he could live in a remote cabin and maintain total control over his work. He's the bear on ice, the natural sovereign, watching the invaders enter his territory. Now look at the table. You see 2 red chairs, but one thing that stood out immediately was one of them is orange. Now, according to my previous studies of the Godfather parallels, I got educated on cinematic color palettes and what they represent in film. If the director is following any of those parallels, then orange stands for betrayal. Whoever's sitting at that table with him, one of them's a traitor. Now, judging that it's a staff room and it would be on the right side of Drake or right hand, it could be somebody in the family. Then my eyes take me back to the whiteboard. That Wi-Fi password is the Iceman, proving he has his whole network running under his own signal. But look underneath, A-word Saints. That really means wayward saints. In Toronto history, the wayward saints were a group of rogue entities fighting for their own independence. It's the sign that the director is now a rogue entity, walking out of the industry cathedral with his masters in his hand. And then there it was, something else that caught my eye. I look at the wall and I see a T12 mark. This is the final breakthrough of the room. It's not just a sign, it's a 12,000 watt godlight. This is the projector lamp. And that's when it hit me. You need a physical light source this powerful to project anything into the real world. It made me start thinking, is this the next part of the project? Is it gonna be physical? Up until now, everything has been digital. We streamed it, we watched it online. It was all in the cloud. That was the digital stress test, a simulation to see how the numbers moved. Now as I step into the next coordinate, I'm just trying to make sense of the amount of data slapped all over this board. I start scanning, and the first thing that hits me, the orange figure scribbled right in the middle. I think, where have I seen this before? Wait, could this be a direct reference to his son's drawings? It looks so much like the artwork we've seen before. And if that's the case, look where the scribble's placed. It falls right over the syllable T in the word quantity. Could this be a literal reference to spilt tea and a double entendre to the person who used it against him? And is this the receipt for the betrayal from his inner circle that leaked the quantity of his new family? The very secret that was weaponized years ago to try and dismantle his career?
Who is this? Like, you got a whole child that you suppressing.
But your friend is the reason why. That's why.
Oh, the irony in it.
That's how it came about. That's how that information.
Right.
I look over the calendar and I see March 26 circled in the same orange ink. My mind starts racing. And that's where I find out on that day, his very own label, UMG, submitted the song Like That by Future, Metro Boomin, and Kendrick Lamar to US Rhythmic Radio, officially kicking off the 20v1. Then I see an anchor pinned to the bottom, dated February 14th, 2017. I did some digging, and that's when I found the DJ Semtex interview. And it made me wonder, could this be referring to the moment he finally spoke out? On this specific day, he aired out the betrayal from Kanye West and the public criticism he faced in Sacramento. He addressed the ghostwriter allegations, called out the Grammys for boxing him in, and he even mentioned being told to blame it on Trump by a dismissive official. He described himself as an outsider. And that's when it hit me. It's not just some whiteboard in a staff room. This is a war room. Looking at the dates, the tea, the receipts, it feels like this is where the entire get back was planned. It's as if he's been documenting every betrayal since 2017, just waiting for the right moment to finish the audit and walk out. In this scene, I watch him reach for the keypad. He doesn't use an employee number. He punches in 1024. That's October 24th, his birthday. This is the final reclamation of identity. He's stripping off the industrial Iceman persona and walking out as the man himself. Looking back at episode 1, I realized that this entire act was a digital stress test. It was Act 1, the audit of the simulation. The director used the RGB digital frequency to bait the industry into the false narrative of security. He let them think that they were watching a beef or a crash, when in fact he was actually in the back room using the T12 godlight to identify every Judas and every invader on his payroll. He didn't just survive the 2017 spilled tea or the 2024 war. He pre-programmed the Get Back 7 years ago in that exact war room. He proved that the labels only ever owned his time, not his soul. And by the time the Iceman checked out, he'd already converted.